Welcome in. Welcome in and welcome back to Talkin' Trash. I am the Trashman once again here with my co-host Baeginning. Hot off of a Twitch Rivals takeover.
Yeah, if you haven't heard the news, my new favorite icebreaker to tell people is that you remember that clip of Tyler One raging? Yeah, I caused that.
Can you be more specific?
During Twitch Rivals Fall Guys event specifically.
I just want to say I love your absolute massive unit of a Pikachu on your desk behind you. That is excellent.
Chonkachu came in the celebration selection. Absolutely great.
Oh. Wow. All right.
Got to add a figure to the collection.
I'm not going to waste any more time because we have an absolutely ungodly amount of news to go through.
Yeah,
I wanted to throw a game into this episode, but I can't.
No, we don't got time. We've actually spent time breaking down individual things every time. This one, we're just gonna run through it all and talk about things we want to talk about.
Yep. So I go through it with a few like smaller, maybe lesser attention-grabbing sequels that have been announced here. Prince of Tennis is getting another season in 2022. I just thought it was weird, so I wanted to bring it up. I didn't know that was still happening. Yervu Camp and Quintessential Quintuplets both getting movies in summer of 2022. Seven Deadly Sins got a new abomination of a CGI trailer for a Netflix movie. Kakaguri got a Netflix announcement for some spin-off called Kakaguri Twin that no one asked for, coming in 2022. SAO Progressive just came out and already has a sequel slated for 2022. Nagatoro also got a season 2 while we're on list of things that nobody asked for. Tonikawa got announced for a season 2 in OVA. Fruits Basket remake is getting a prelude episode OVA in 2022. Makoto Shinkai finished a storyboard for upcoming film. That was the direct quote from the news I saw, and I just thought it was funny that was big news and that it actually legitimately matters. And then I guess breaking news as of maybe an hour ago. No Game No Life's big announcement is that they're getting another manga adaptation. So take that, No Game fans.
I mean, I'm still gonna take it because a manga adaptation gives me hope that maybe we could actually get a proper season 2 once it's not in visual novel form.
It's, you know what? When I first saw the news, I laughed maniacally. But then as I read it, I realized, season 1 of the anime came out when the first volume of manga was adapted from the light novel. So I guess it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah,
but
it's definitely a step in the right direction. But I mean, also it's the equivalent. It's turning almost into how Spice and Wolf fans feel, waiting for their season that's never gonna happen. It's the No Game No Life, which, by the way, if you don't know, is one of my visually most favorite anime out there. Visually, just based off of visuals, it's just a gorgeous anime, and I really want to see more of that get animated. The concept of it is obviously, something I enjoy, but I'm hopeful that this at least leads to something. And on the topic of things that I'm hopeful for, honestly, Prince of Tennis, as weird as it sounds, I feel like that's one that I remember watching when I was 6 on Toonami and actually being like, why am I strangely into this tennis anime?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about this is fucking lame. I don't know. I was laying in bed last night thinking about how I got here in terms of anime. And I remember back in the day, Prince of Tennis was one of those shows that I watched the first few episodes of in 480p on YouTube, episode 1 out of 3. Prince of Tennis and Bleach, I think, were the two I watched on YouTube. So
mine was Naruto, and that's when I actually learned that anime was from Japan, because after a certain point, I would stop having it be in English, and I would have to start watching it in Japanese, and I was like, what is going on here? Why am I not hearing this in English anymore?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I threw it in. It's a fun, kind of nostalgic thing for me of right around when I realized what anime was, but I had no idea it was still like a thing.
Yeah, I mean, sports anime, I don't
I
know. They
feel, I
always
feel
seem to
like
last forever.
I feel like he should be the king of tennis by now. It's been like 15 years.
Yeah, and I also feel like Major should be Major second generation, and that still
It
you
is.
know. Oh, it is actually
It
called second
is.
generation?
It's
Okay.
Major second.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm not so
See,
bad. I'm not so bad at
Major's
that then.
Major's good shit. I vouch for it. Watch Major.
Yeah, I know you and one of my cousin and our friend are big Major fans. All but Major isn't getting anything here. Also, one of the things that I want to talk about is Kakegururi Twin. I am a fan of the anime. I very much liked it, and season 2 was less exciting, but I'm curious on the spinoff. I don't really have much to go off of, but it's something that I'm at least look forward to give it a shot. But honestly, right now, because it's Netflix based, I'm still on the
Hmm.
fence. Like, I'm gonna get into it more with my stuff to talk about later, but like the Netflix stuff, I'm kind of feeling hit or miss on right now.
Yeah, I mean they are very hit or miss. I haven't seen Kakaguri, so I don't really have much to say about the spin-off of
Ahigao,
it, but yeah.
Ahigao gambling.
Yeah, I know what it is. That's why I haven't seen it yet.
I'm giving it for the viewers.
That's fair. That's fair. Another thing that you have highlighted here that I do want to talk about as well is the Fruits Basket Fruits Basket remake, the final prelude Shippuden that's coming in 2022.
Yeah.
Hopefully you know more information than I do. Is that just like a prequel
So if
episode?
I'm remembering correctly, it's about the mother that yeah, so I think it's about her and that's the prelude for it. I'm going off of what I remember what I'm trying to remember a couple months ago. Feel free to correct me people when you actually see this and let me know if I'm wrong, but it's one of those things that I think it's supposed to be pretty much like the mother's backstory and giving a little bit more context onto her.
Yeah, that's awesome because that's exactly what I was hoping it would be, but I wasn't really sure.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's another reason why I'm looking forward to it. I remember it's funny because I remember talking about it with a couple of my friends, so that's I think why I'm remembering that being the case because obviously it's been something that I've actually talked about with people who have watched it.
Mhm. And then for some other new things that are getting made, some other announcements, Arc Knights, the phone game, is getting an anime adaptation from Star Pictures Studio. I don't know if you want to look them up while I'm running through this. I have no idea if they've done anything notable. Um, Tokyo 24th Ward, an original anime from JoJo's director Naokatsu Suda, is coming in January 2022. That was picked up by Cloverworks. More JoJo's news is Stone Ocean's coming to Netflix December 1st. So,
Less than a month away at this point.
yep, getting real close to that. And Spy Family or Spy X Family, if you don't know how to read, is coming in 2022, also from Cloverworks and working with Wit as well.
Those last two are I'm very excited about. Also,
Hmm.
to give you context on Star Studios, they only do like phone game anime.
Oh,
Like their thing is Azure Lane, which they've done a lot of stuff
okay.
with. They've done mobile promotions for something called Blue Archive, another one for something called Holy Nightlight, and now Arknights. So their only thing that they've ever
Interesting.
really produced are video game into anime adaptations.
That's like a really weird like niche. That's all we're gonna do.
Yeah, exactly. But I
Uh,
mean, hey, who
sure,
knows? Maybe one of them will eventually do well.
it could be Arknights. I mean,
Yeah, who knows? But I can tell you the things that I think will do well, and that's the JoJo Stone Ocean, because it's probably one of the more hyped ones out there in terms of when it got announced and when it's actually being released. And now we're already going to be seeing it only a month away at this point. Stone Ocean is, I wouldn't say it's my favorite overall, but it's my favorite JoJo.
mm,
And so I have a big looking forward to that. And the same thing with Spy Family. I've actually, between that and Blue Period, those are manga that I started roughly around the same time. And I go out of my way to buy every chapter when it sells on Barnes and Noble. and it's actually a really fun manga. It's definitely more. I think it tries to lean itself more as like a comedic than like a real actiony, which is on the surface I would have thought it was going to be more like action based with a hint of comedy, but it's more comedy with a hint of action. But
Okay.
I think it's a good show,
So
or I think it's a good manga, and it will be a good anime.
I have a question for you then, because I think we're still early enough in the video where people haven't clicked off of it yet. Is Blue Period, we're about I think 5 episodes in at this point.
Correct.
I think it's been really good, and I think people have been enjoying it. How would you compare, as I guess, your enjoyment of Spy Family versus Blue Period?
So I enjoy both for different reasons. To start off with, like Blue Period has a lot of emotion behind it, and it's a very you can connect with yourself and find moments that you can sort of relate to in there. Spy Family is very much just an enjoyable read. It's good, it's nice. I appreciate the pacing behind it. I think that they have a good job with like their premise and their story. I think it's going to be good. I'm hopeful that it's going to be one of the better ones in that season whenever the time comes. Obviously,
Hmm.
it's too early to tell, but I think that it is worth at least already being a little bit excited for.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't read the manga at all, but I'm definitely watching
Yeah,
it
there's
when it comes
about
out.
6 or 7 volumes right now out in
It's not
English,
bad.
so there's a decent amount of source material for it.
Hmm. And then going back to JoJo's, and kind of building off of Blue Period, I was skeptical when Netflix first picked up JoJo's, as was every other human being. And seeing Blue Period being an actual weekly release gives me hope that they're not gonna just lock JoJo's in jail until it's done and then drop it all at once like they do with things like Beastars, because it's
Yeah, I mean that was
infuriating.
definitely like the most. I think the even more annoying part too is when they separate like a 24 episode anime into like
Yeah,
you're gonna get this in November, but
it's
you're gonna
like
have to wait for the second half in January.
what they did with Great Pretender, where they kind of
Yeah, that's
divided it
exactly what
for
I was
no
thinking.
reason. Yeah.
hmm So yeah, those are a lot of the new stuff there, and a lot of good stuff in that new stuff that we've at least been able to figure out. A lot of questions,
Hmm.
but I think most of it's gonna be good.
Yeah, I mean, just because we haven't touched on it, the Tokyo 24th Ward, I know nothing about, but Cloverworks is a good studio. It's the same director as JoJo's, and it's going to be in January, so it's next season.
Yeah,
I don't know anything about it, but it's worth at least giving a shot in my mind. So it could end up being really good too.
yeah, I agree. But again, I think it falls into like that question mark
Yeah,
area with like Arknights and how Spy is gonna do.
for sure. Now, some more heavy hitters. Probably take it a little slower through these. Mob Psycho's counter on Twitter finally hit 100, and we got Mob Psycho season 3 announced. Kaguya-sama season 3, I think, was announced like the same day or the day right after. That's coming in
Yeah, I'm pretty
April.
sure.
Very recently, Bongu Stray Dogs got announced for season 4, and Attack on Titan, maybe final season, the final, or whatever they're gonna call it.
The final, the sequel, the final, the
Yeah,
hardcore.
I think it's
Yeah.
actually over. That comes out on January 9th of 2022.
Can I say I'm hoping it's the end? I as
I
I
think
know there's a
that's
lot of
fair.
people who are going to be disappointed, but like again, I just feel like its ending is being drawn out. As somebody who was reading it religiously when chapters were coming out and then faded out of existence once it was harder for me to find the chapters, and now I don't really have any like desire for it. Like I'm kind of just hoping for it to finally end instead of dragging out what was like 24 episodes into like, a 6-month ordeal for people.
Yeah, I think that's a fair take. I kind of want it to be the end too, just for sake of like not having to dodge every time I see black and white on Twitter. Be like, that might be Attack on Titan. Got to scroll. Like, I'm not allowed to look at things because people can't control themselves. But
So I should stop posting Tokyo Revengers pictures from the manga scans. Got it.
yeah, I'll block you. It's fine.
Wouldn't be the first time.
um, but yeah, I mean, I also don't like things being drawn out more than they need to. So I'm good with it being the conclusion. I'm excited for the end of it. I want to see how it goes.
Yeah, it feels like it's the modern day like I don't want to say epic in the sense, but it's turned into like the anime version of Game of Thrones, where it's just had
Yeah,
all this hype every season, every season, every season. The ending is like, come on, we want to get our conclusion, and it's become this like phenomenon where when it airs, it's like everything. That's the first episode is where everything is talking about there,
yeah,
and I think in that sense, I can again, I understand how good this anime is, and I understand the positives for it, but I am just hoping for a conclusive a conclusion to everything going on with it.
yeah. Me too. I mean, I think Game of Thrones is an excellent comparison. I know people crying about the AOT manga. I don't know how it'll end, but
To be fair, there's
I
a
mean,
lot of manga to cry about that
yeah.
ended just so.
I mean,
Yeah.
Game of Thrones had a lot going for it, and it kind of fumbled at the finish line.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Attack on Titan can follow through and actually have a good ending. As for the other sequels here, I have come to terms with the fact that Mob Psycho is in fact better than One Punch Man.
I think that's pretty widely accepted these days for people who don't just watch surface anime.
Yeah, it's super, I think, disappointing for One Punch Man, but it wasn't
Yeah.
just One Punch Man falling off. It was Mob Psycho season 2 being so
Yeah, if
so
you just
so
compare the
good.
season 2s from each other, like, it's
Yeah.
a very clear distinction of which one's better and how well they develop the relationships and everything like that. Like, again, you saw me when I reacted to Mob Psycho season 3 being announced. Like,
Mhm.
I think it's something that we're very much going to be looking forward to, and I think I'm going to say this now, when I don't know anything in the future, but I'm sure people will be calling it anime of the year when it comes out.
Yes, very very possible, and I that's also the conclusion of Mob Psycho, as far as I'm aware. I think season 3 is the end, so it should be
I appreciate
amazing.
when I can get conclusions of anime.
I was just thinking, like, we don't get to say that a lot. Like,
Yeah.
this is the finale of an anime. And then, I mean, Kaguya and Bungo Stray Dogs. I don't think either of
I was
them
about to
are.
say, speaking of things ending, I'm surprised Bungo Stray Dogs honestly has a fourth season.
I
I think it's popular. I just am surprised seeing a fourth season because that means that they're selling enough memorabilia, clothing, everything. Like, and when an anime gets a second season, it's because it's doing well in like the merchandising
yeah
department and it's doing well in obviously the budget for being able to make it. So I'm surprised that there's a fourth season because that just means everything outside of the anime is also selling well.
yeah I don't really know how long Bungo will go for. Like, I don't see like a clear path or ending in sight. I don't really know what they're going for, so they could do another 4 seasons, and it wouldn't be that shocking to me. Like, and then I mean, Kaguya-sama's awesome. I don't know if that's the end of Kaguya. I don't think it is. I think there'll probably be a season 4 of Kaguya, but very excited for that one in April.
Yeah, the Kaguya is one that I go on record for saying I'm very bad at starting things that have already finished. So I didn't start Kaguya-sama was when it was airing. So it's something I know I need to get to, and hopefully I can get to it before season 3.
Yeah, that was one that I actually kind of missed out too while it was airing, but then the memes got to me, so I had to pick it up to understand Reddit.
At 1,000 subs, are you gonna do a Kaguya-sama dance?
Oh man, I should have done that at like 1 sub. Shit. I gotta make a new channel now. That was it.
Yeah. Post it on TikTok. Yeah, that's how you grow these days.
God. I'm just gonna
Just
what's the
save it
next
for when
news?
season 3 comes out.
I'm moving to the next news. That's enough of that. This is news that is like this section of news is like mildly worrying news. Um, the first is that Disney Plus is making anime now. I I don't. They like Star Wars, I guess.
I mean, I think the Star Wars did relatively well from what I heard.
Yeah, I mean it was good. I liked it. Um,
I know you did.
they're kicking off with a Black Rock shooter announcement, which is a name I've heard a lot but never cared enough to watch. Like a remake or reboot of that. Another show called Summertime Rendering.
That
Twisted
sounds peaceful.
Wonderland. I don't think it is. Twisted Wonderland, which is I believe, an anime adaptation of like a Disney phone game that's like an Alice in Wonderland kind of
Yeah, it's.
thing.
I think you're right on that one.
And then the one that's like really confusing for me is they're also picking up Yojohan Time Machine Blues, which we've brought up here before. That is the sequel to Tatami Galaxy that I feel like people have like those 20 fans have been waiting for a while. I don't really know how it ended up on Disney, but
Yeah, it
it's
seems
there.
like a weird place for it to be,
Yeah.
but I mean, hey, if they do a good job, then it just ups Disney's repertoire for anime,
Yeah, like
and maybe people will stop selling it to Netflix.
yeah, maybe I guess we do need competitors, but like it's not like Disney's like the little guy we can root for. Are they gonna pick up?
True.
Are they gonna pick up the Tommy Galaxy like to have season one?
No,
Are you just gonna
no,
have a
just
bunch of
this.
confused like Disney Plus people like, oh,
Yeah,
I'll watch this?
family is gonna start an anime for the first time together, watch that, and be like, "What is going on here?"
And I mean, Tatami Galaxy is not exactly a an easy one to watch anyway, so that's interesting. And then the big news of the week is the live action cast for the One Piece movie was announced.
I think there's a lot of angry people at this, but for really stupid reasons.
I actually think at first it was a little bit of anger, but I think people have like been looking at some of the casting choices and been like, oh, they know nothing about, they obviously know nothing about the actors, but they're like,
Oh
oh yeah,
yeah.
they look like Nami and Usopp, and yeah, that's great job.
Actually, well, like Usopp's the biggest thing that like people are complaining about. They're like, why is this non-white character playing Usopp who looks white? And they're like, but like
Because Usopp's
Oda
not
has
white.
like yeah, like but like yeah, exactly. Like it's one of those things where people like it's getting so much unnecessary controversy from people who are just straight up idiotic
Hmm.
and they want to critique everything and they want everything to go the way that is in their head and not realize how things are actually going.
Yeah, and it's the one I've seen people complaining about most is the guy they cast for Sanji because he just looks like Eminem, and I think that's so funny. If they actually cast Eminem for Sanji, it'd be 100 times better. The pirate rap would slap.
Can we get the four kids rap for the One Piece? Bring in the and like the best part is that if you don't know, the four kids rap, the person who like or the person who does the narration is also like Seto Kaiba and all of the four kids. So I just want the person who voices that to be like narrating the start of it for us again.
Wait, did you just say Seto Kaiba is the guy that did the pirate rap?
No, the one that starts
Okay.
the narration for it is what I said.
Oh, okay. Oh my God.
Yeah. No, I'm not
Oh,
that much
I
of an
just had a
idiot.
moment.
You
Oh,
know, the once was a
oh.
man named yeah, like
Okay. All
that's
right.
Seto Kaiba's voice.
All right. Um, and yeah, with the live action news, I just want to remind everyone too that Cowboy Bebop's live action is hitting Netflix November 19th. We'll see how that goes. That
That one
might
I think I have hope for. It's probably the most
that
hopeful I can have towards things.
I think that's going to be a good gauge of kind of what to expect from the One Piece one. I don't know if we can
Yeah.
go off of past live action things. I think just kind of look at Bebop and convince yourself this is where Netflix is now
Yeah.
and see what they're working
Which
towards.
leads I want to have hope because what you're about to talk about next is why I want to have hope on it.
Yeah, this one I saw and I feel like no one talked about it. Like I feel like I have to vet this and make sure it's not like a joke. Like
Like
I got hit with an
yeah.
October, November, April Fool's prank. Netflix announced in 2023 that we're getting a Yu Yu Hakusho live action movie.
Yeah. And
like no one cares.
Yeah, it's crazy. So it's saying it's going to arrive in December of 2023, so late.
Oh, that's
Now,
really.
I'm somebody who I go back and I don't rewatch anime very often. I rewatch Yu Yu Hakusho probably at least once a year. It is
Oof.
one of my like all-time favorites to
That's a
watch,
hefty
and
rewatch too.
yeah, it is. But I it's something that's nice to be able to binge. It's also one of the few that I'm like consistently able to watch in dub, which is nice because I grew up on it. So it's weird to say I grew up on an anime like that, but yeah, I mean, let's face it, we
I
all did.
mean, I
But
did
if
too.
I'm yeah, so with Bebop getting theirs soon and Yu Yu Hakusho having a 2-year space, I'm hoping that Yu Yu Hakusho can be good. It's one that confuses me a little bit more because obviously there's a little bit more, demonic things and
Yeah.
so it's gonna be harder to make that look good in live action. But again, who knows what 2 years will give us?
Yeah, I mean, the makeup department's gonna have to put in work for that Yu Yu Hakusho movie.
Yeah. I mean, just
There's a
picture
lot
like
going on.
you remember the like giant ass tiger that Kuwabara fights, and he's like it's in the opening song and everything like that. Like,
Mhm.
Matt, what's the makeup department gonna have to? Yeah, like the makeup department's gonna have to do something like that. So again,
Actual
it's
tiger.
very, yeah, an actual human speaking tiger, exactly.
All right, and we are about half an hour in, and we are finally done with the news. We did it. We got through that. Confetti, sound effects. I have a low budget, so I just do it myself. There we go.
Yay!
That's the sound department at work. Let's get in to the sleepers of
I'll
the
just buy a bigger
season.
stream deck for us next time.
Thank you. I need a soundboard so desperately. Sleepers of the season. Do you want to kick us off?
Sure. I mean, I feel like we're not really feeling like we're going to be changing too much here, honestly, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But I think my sleeper is still going to be Tacto P Destiny. If you don't know anything about it, it's a very music shonen based anime. As weird as that like sounds, but they do a great job. And if you have heard the opening, it's the same group that does Guilty Crown's music, Supercell, and it's very beautiful. There's the battle scenes are very well animated, very vibrant colors. I think while I'm not sure how I feel 100% about the story yet, visually, musically, there's a lot of positives for it that make me want people to at least consider it as a sleeper.
Yeah, I think visually it looks fantastic, and the music is, for the most part, actual classical music. I think in the most recent
Hmm.
episode we had some jazz as well. And it's kind of cool where I know in some music anime you get these original compositions and they're beautiful, but it's also kind of cool to sit down and hear like Chopin and Mozart and things like that incorporated into an anime. I think it has its ups and downs. There's definitely like whole
Yeah,
episodes where I'm kind of like, nah, I don't know. And then other episodes where I'm like, yeah, let's go. This is great. This is awesome. It's exciting. It's interesting. But yeah, I'm still not sure. Like we're halfway through it, I think, but I don't know
yeah. I think
yet.
there's 6 episodes right now of it. So,
Mhm.
but I think putting it in sleeper is at least worth consideration
Yeah,
for it.
I think that's exactly where it belongs. I think that's a great choice for Sleeper. My preseason pick for Sleeper was House Husband. It's already done airing. It was the same idea as season one. So if you like season one, it was the same stuff. It was good. I'm gonna pivot off of that because I can't talk about the web short that much. I have to go to one that I overlooked in the beginning of the season, and I asked you what you were watching, and one that you overlooked as well. The top rated anime of the season right now is Osama Ranking, and we haven't said a word about it. I heard nothing about it before the season started. I've only been able to watch the first episode today at lunch, but it was
I was about to try to correct you, thinking that it wasn't because I know that there's another one that is very high up there. But no, you're right. It is
it's
actually
number
the
one.
highest. Yeah,
It's like 32 on the whole site right now after I
yeah,
think 4 or 5
that's exactly
episodes.
correct. It is 32.
Yes, it's like to go from no one talking about it to 4 weeks in and it's number one this season and top 50 is impressive. So I had to start it. I had to pick it up. And episode one I thought was really interesting. It reminds me a lot more of like Grimm Brothers fairy tales than it does anime, which it's very
Okay.
weird. The style feels like, I mean, there was an anime, Grimm Brothers Fairy Tales from like the
Yeah.
80s. It feels like a remastered one of those. Like it doesn't look
And
like
I
an
mean,
anime.
looking at something that I think we are also overlooking about it is the studio that makes it is Wit Studio. So that's Attack on Titan, that's, Owari no Seraph, that's Vinland Saga, that's Kabaneri, like that. There's a huge repertoire behind them that I feel like if you had just sort of looked at the studio, you probably could have been like, okay, I'll give it a shot based off of, their history. And yeah, it's kind of crazy that this one's just being overlooked right now.
Yeah, it just completely went unnoticed. I don't know what it is like popularity wise. Oh, there you
I
go.
mean,
It's
it's
it's Mal
pretty far
Page.
low. Yeah, it's pretty far low. So Sleeper is a perfect thing until it becomes anime of the season, possibly.
Rank number 32, popularity number 1,849.
Yeah, I think that there probably isn't as much of a gap in terms of like ranking to popularity like that in the top, 50 or
Yeah.
top 100.
So I mean, like I said, I'm only one episode in, but I recommend that you and all the viewers here do yourselves a favor and pick up Osama ranking if you have not already.
Yeah, I think I'll definitely have to look into it now, at least read up on it, give it a little bit of more of a shot because on the surface there's a lot of things going well for it, and it's also a 23 episode anime, so you're gonna have a little bit more time to be able to give it, and it'll bleed into the next season if you like it.
Yeah, yeah. If you won't have enough to watch in January, that'll be there too.
True.
Now to get into the overrated section. I'll kick it off because you kicked us off with the sleeper.
Yeah, sure.
I went with My Senpai is Annoying. I'm not sticking with it because I haven't watched a single episode of it, so I can't shit on it properly. Um, I said it last time. I want to stay away from sequels. I don't want to call 86 overrated for 2 cores in a row, but I have been watching 86 and it is overrated. I hate it. It's like I didn't like season 1. I understand a little bit maybe why someone would like it, but like season 2, they're just like, let's introduce an annoying lowly character. That'll help all the war.
I actually don't find her very annoying at all. I
Oh,
think,
she's oh,
but
oh,
I
I want
mean,
to strangle her.
I mean, again, I think you've had this hard set feeling on it being overrated, and it's very fair. I just want to say it has an 8.6 on Mal right
That's
now.
why I
Like,
think
and
it's
it's
overrated.
it's very like I don't think it's 8.6 good. I was actually going to talk about how I think that this season overall is actually quite low in terms of everyone's overall rankings for things. Like the top couple are stuff that people like, of course, and those are things that are always going to have pretty high ratings generally. But I think overall, there's only about 4 or 5 things that even have above an 8 right now,
Mhm.
and that's not counting something I want to talk about later, which is Demon Slayer. So, there's really it's crazy because like I thought the season was going to be a little bit better, but based off of the rankings that everybody's having right now, it's kind of feeling like last season is almost the same as this season.
Yeah, I think some of the rankings are higher than last season. Last season we had nothing in the top 100. Here Osama
Yeah.
ranking at least looks really good. 86 is ranked number 61 and I just no.
Hmm.
I could
I agree
definitely
it's not
name
that good, but I
61
still think
more.
it's good. Yeah, I think
Yeah, I
it's.
don't know.
I
I
don't
don't
think it's.
like
Yeah, because
it.
I think my overrated, which if you don't mind, I'd like to get into right now, is
Yeah, go for
probably
it.
worse, and it's the one that I stuck with literally at the predictions, and I'm very fondly saying Platinum End is still overrated to me, and watching it, I can describe it to you in one sentence: Mirai Nikki with angels.
That's
That
exactly
is
what I
this.
thought.
Yeah, that is literally what this thing is, and I, I just I'm watching it, and don't get me wrong, I have watched Mirai Nikki. I actually rewatched it with a friend when I was trying to introduce them into anime. Don't question why we introduced them with Mirai Nikki. That's besides the point.
Did
But
you not want him to like anime?
she very much was into it.
All right, sure.
Yeah, but Platinum End, like I said, it's Mirai Nikki with
Yeah.
angels, but there was so much hype about it because it was the same person who wrote Death Note. There was all this excitement to it. It's got a 7.3 right now. There's 235,000 people watching it. I think the animation is average. I think the story is average. Obviously, the format is something that I'm still going to watch because, again, Mirai Nikki was something I enjoyed, and so I'm going to give this a shot. But I also just, I don't know. So I'm gonna. This isn't spoilers, but I do want to talk about it because it gives me a little bit of my opinion. Every person who is a candidate is somebody who was either about to die or is die, like, or was in like the process of dying. The main character is such just boring, like sad, like foreboding, like character because he wanted to die, and it's just I find myself not giving a shit about him.
Yeah, I completely echo your point that this is just Mirai Nikki if the artist of Death Note drew Mirai Nikki. And also if there were like Power Rangers or some shit, whatever's
Yeah, yeah,
happening with that. I hate that. That's dumb.
yeah.
um but I think it's been one of the shows I look forward to every week, and I'm interested. I think it's entertaining. I still don't know that it's good. It's if I wasn't enjoying it as much, it would very easily could just fall right into those like bad, overly edgy horror shows. Like to me, there's a very
Can I
fine line before it falls into Dead Man Wonderland or King's Game or something like
Yeah,
that.
I will say one thing about it. If Mirai Nikki wasn't a thing, I would probably be a lot more higher on it. But because Mirai Nikki is a thing, it just feels very similar, and it's feeling very, I don't want to say predictable, but like it kind, like it's a formula we've already seen, so we kind of have an idea as to how it's going to go unless something changes between now and the ending.
Yeah, that is a fair point as well. I think it's hard with shows like this that look so much like other shows we've seen before because it's impossible to separate them. It is
Mhm.
impossible to sit down and watch Platinum End having already seen Miraniki and not be sitting there the whole 20 minutes comparing it to Miraniki.
Yeah, and I know that we're not the only ones that have shared the sentiment. I've seen people reviewing this anime on YouTube and TikTok, and they've all pretty much said the same thing. Mirai Nikki with angels, Mirai Nikki with arrows, Mirai Nikki this, Mirai Nikki that. Because at the root of it, it is a very, you can see the similarities just by watching the first episode.
Yeah, yeah, it was immediate. It was episode one was, oh, this is Miraniki, but the Shinigami, oh, look pretty.
Hmm.
Like, oh,
I
Dust the
think this
Fires.
this is this is all you. This is all you. It's your time to shine. This next moment is all you.
Ah, Tesla Note. Oh, oh, you beautiful, beautiful train through a portal train wreck. I, it is ranked higher than X-Arm is, but it is in that tier. It is in that Mars of Destruction, Skelter Heaven, X-Arm, Pupa range of shitty shows. I unfortunately think it's falls more into the X-Arm Handshakers category for me rather than the Skelter Heaven Mars of Destruction category. Skelter Heaven and Mars of Destruction are so terrible that they're funny and they're only 20 minutes long, so they're very easy to watch. Tesla Note is just boring and garbage, and it's just X-Arm again. But I think the CGI is slightly better, but for some
And
reason
10 times better voice acting.
X-Men had good voice actors too. But yes, the better voice acting, slightly better CGI. And for some reason, I don't know why they did this, but every few minutes they'll just switch to 2D and then back to 3D. Like X-Arm had like the main characters with CGI and the background characters look like cardboard cutouts. Tesla is the same character. Like they'll be standing here and then they'll spin around and there'll be a different dimension. It's jarring and it's like
They
egregious. Like
ran out of
why?
budget on their 3/4 POV.
Yeah, I don't know if they ran out of budget or if they're just like, well, we need her to make a surprised expression, but we don't know how to do that with the 3D model. So like make her look surprised in 2D. Like it's baffling. I don't I don't know if it
I
was
love it.
they
I
don't know
love
what they're
I
doing or if it was an artistic choice, but I hate it either way.
if it's an artistic choice, that is fire that man and never let them work again.
Oh God, and it's
Oh.
13 episodes instead of 12, so I'm gonna be making videos for 7 more weeks.
Speaking of people to fire, I want to fire my dumpster fire, but I want to fire the person who created the name because it is still the same shit. I am gonna try to say this in Japanese first, and then I'm gonna read it to you in English. All right, bear with me here. Shin no nakama jainai to yusha no party wo o wide cetera node henkyo de slow life suru koto ni shimashita.
Yeah, that's good enough to me.
A mouthful. Now, how about the English translation? Banished from a hero's party, I decided to live a quiet life in the countryside. I was kicked out of the hero's party because I wasn't a true companion. So I decided to have a slow life at the frontier.
Wait, was that actually just the full name? I feel like
That is the if you look at the Mal, if you go to the
my
alternate titles,
God,
synonyms,
I
that is
missed.
literally it.
I feel like I missed the sentence of the name the first time I noticed that.
Yeah.
It says,
I didn't read a synopsis. I read the English translation there.
all right, no, you continue, continue.
Yeah. So first it's an isekai. So immediately I'm already
Immediately
on the
terrible.
fence. Yeah, exactly. Second of all, the name itself is as ridiculous as the premise. And
The
it's
name itself
just
is the premise.
true. Again, I didn't read you a synopsis. I read you the synonym. Or I read you the title that is pretty much a synopsis of it. It's not fun. It's not an isekai that anybody wanted. It's not an isekai that anybody gives a shit about, and it's everything about it just feels like a dumpster fire. I'm sorry.
I scrolled down and the top 3 characters listed on Mal's names are Rit, Red, and Rudy. You're not even trying.
No.
They spent their character limit on the title.
uh, it's ugh.
Did you want to get into the other show you have
Yeah,
written
sure.
down
So
here?
this one I have a little bit more of an opinion on now. Dumpster fire, you might not agree with, and that's fine. But I have a special asterisk here of Demon Slayer because it was a dumpster fire when they announced that the first 7 episodes of season 2 were only going to be the movie Mugen Train. I can tell you I have zero desire to watch these episodes because I've seen the movie, I've read the manga. I don't really need the 7 episodes that are remaking it. I have stated this opinion when we first heard it about how Dragon Ball Super put 2 movies that aired in theaters into the anime, and I didn't give a shit about that. I don't give a shit about this now. I am angry, and I want to get to actually the final good parts of Demon Slayer because I've read the entire manga, and God knows that it doesn't get better from here.
I I have actually been watching Mugen Train. We both saw the movie in theaters, and I'm caught up to the now retelling of the movie. I am really enjoying it because it's still good. It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
They have added scenes. They've added very small things. The first episode is entirely new as far as I'm aware. I mean, maybe it was in the manga, but it wasn't in the movie.
Yeah, so
So
again,
the first
I
episode was
know that
fun.
I know they added new stuff. Don't get me wrong. It's just again, even if you add that stuff there, it's not enough to make me want to say, "Oh, let me rewatch a movie that I paid money to go into theaters for." That keep in mind, the pacing of that movie was incredibly well done for an movie
Yes.
adaptation that took strict from the manga. Like it wasn't like you felt like you missed key importance from a movie and they're just kind of filling in little extra gaps there. It doesn't do enough for me to want to give a shit.
Yeah, I mean, so far the only real new things I've got was the first episode, but it bleeds into the movie. I think the last 30
Hmm.
seconds of episode 1 is the first 30 seconds of the movie. It was fun. It was cool to see. I enjoyed it, but it like you said, it wasn't really like necessary content. Um, but yeah, that's why you have the asterisk next to it in a dumpster fire. It's absolutely not bad by any means. It's just
Yeah,
not really necessary, but
And then keep in mind, it'll obviously, by the time we keep in the next video, it's not going to be on there because by then, in December, is when the actual
yes.
new content starts. So then I'll be able to talk about it a little bit more. But for this specific episode,
Yeah,
I want nothing to do with it.
I'm cool with it because I got goldfish brain, so it'll help me remember what's going on when season 2, not season 1.5, but
Season
season 2 starts.
2.5.
The final season 2.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's my dumpster fire. Now we can get into the things that we actually have interesting opinions on. Mine's a little bit more obvious. Yours, not so much. But...
I'm looking at our doc and it's so funny because I feel like
yeah.
it's just like we've been already fighting about some of these shows and just vastly different outlooks on them. You started off, I guess, because I feel like people know where you're going.
Yep. I will say, I am trying to say this with as little bias as possible, that Blue Period is still my anime of the season. I will say, however, I am slightly disappointed in it due to the pacing of it feeling a little bit fast. I feel like we're touching a lot of it, and I feel like, I don't know, I feel like for an art anime and a anime about sort of self-fulfillment and trying to find your passion, I feel like they're going at it a little bit faster than I would like. But again, I see moments, especially the most recent episode, the scenes that they had there were so beautifully done. You can really start to see where they're trying to get out of it. The characters, some of them I'm very passionate about that aren't just the main character. And the difference between Platinum End's main character that's boring and Blue Period's main character who is bored of life is you can at least see yourself in them a little bit more. And I know it's hard to see yourself in something that is a little less realistic, but I think we can all find things to see ourselves in. And I know at some point all of us in life have probably struggled with the idea of having something you're passionate about and trying to find something to maybe go to school for, etc. So it's something that I think is definitely still anime of the season. Granted, I'm not as hyped for it as when I didn't see a single episode.
Yeah, I really wanted to ask you about that actually, because I've seen a few people on Twitter and a few other anime YouTubers that I talk to have done a few videos on how they haven't really enjoyed the adaptation that much, and they feel like it's a bit of a letdown too. As an anime only, I've really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I don't really notice too many pacing issues. Maybe there are, and I just haven't been noticing them.
Again, I think it's something that you notice when you're a manga reader, not so much anime. So I think that it's understandable that So that's why I've tried to say I'm going in with as little bias as possible, and that's why I am a little bit more critical with that opinion.
Yeah, but I wanted to throw it out because I feel like there are some things that you watch where you don't have to be a manga reader to know, like, oh, something's missing. Something's rushed here. It's weird.
Yeah,
like, it doesn't feel weird.
I forget what was the anime that pretty much skipped 200 chapters in or did 200 chapters? Oh, Promise Neverland.
Promise Neverland.
I'm looking at you, Promise Neverland.
Yep.
200 chapters and 10 episodes.
Yeah, you didn't have to read the manga to know something was wrong. Blue Period feels fine, I think, as an anime only, from my perspective. At least it feels really
also,
good.
Another thing about it, we were both worried about the studio that was doing it. I don't think the studio is doing a bad job at it at all.
No,
so
not at all.
Even though they might not have had the biggest repertoire, I think they're still doing a good job with it. So at the very least, that is a reassuring thing that we were both worried on.
And a kind of an interesting thing that we talked about too with Tokto P using actual like classical music. You see a few real like classic art pieces in here as well, and that's really cool to see. Something also I forgot to mention with Osama ranking earlier is that there's I forget exactly what it said, but it's like the Japanese like sign language companies and people are vetting the episodes and making sure the sign language is like legit. I love that. I love the effort that they
the little bit of effort that a lot of people probably wouldn't look into and notice is really appreciated, especially when it comes to like stuff like with accessibility.
Yeah, so I wanted to bring that up. Sorry, I had to go back to Osama ranking, but it does kind of tie into what they do in Blue Period as well.
Hmm.
Blue Period has also been a fun watch for me because it feels like sports anime where you always have the first few episodes, the first season where they're explaining the rules of the sport to you. And like I watch sports a lot. So like when I'm like watching a basketball anime and they're explaining the rules for the 100th time, I'm bored. Blue Period, I like art. I've drawn before, but I don't know that many things about it. So it's kind of cool too that I'm actually like learning some things that make sense, like about composition and how to make art. Um, so I feel like from that perspective, it's kind of cool too.
I agree. And then I only put it on here because again, it was
To
as
make me
high
mad.
as it is, and yeah, a little bit to make you mad. But I also have 82nd or 86 second core on there. Just I will say I was caught off guard when I heard there was going to be a second core. I wasn't sure the direction that it was going to go into, but I do think I could appreciate it, and I think that you hate your lolly character. I think she serves her purpose of being the like little sister to the squad there and trying to build this like found family together and everything like that. And I am very, I think, like entranced over the main character and trying to follow how he's going to go because it's a path that we're leading toward where one of two things are going to happen and they're two extremes of the equation. And so with a show like this, it's hard to determine whether or not it's going to go one of two ways, but at the very least they're doing it enough that it's keeping me constantly looking forward to the next episode.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna stick with it and see where it goes, but I'm not really enjoying the ride along the way here.
I'd also like to preface you're not really that big in mechs.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the mechs too much in this though.
Fair.
I just feel like it's I don't know. To me, it reminds me so much of Sword Art Online and what people complain about Sword Art for. And for my anime this season, I originally went with Platinum End. You have it as your overrated, and I said it initially. I don't hate that as an overrated choice. I still don't hate it as an overrated choice, but I just look at what's left for this season. You taking up Blue Period, me hating on 86, Demon Slayer being probably the best thing airing, but we've already seen it. I feel like it kind of then comes down to Platinum End for me, or maybe Osama ranking. It's currently the top thing. I haven't seen enough of it to really say that I like it that much that it's going to be the best thing I see all season. But for now, I'm leaving it Platinum End because even though it is a Mirai Nikki Edge Fest, it could still end up being really good. I I don't know exactly where it's going. I know you said it was predictable. I don't know if I completely agree with that, but I'm in and hoping it goes somewhere good, like, and that doesn't
Yeah,
just fall off and
I agree. I'm hoping that it's good. I don't want it to be bad. I
yeah.
just feel like it's falling into this formulaic thing where right now it's going to be hard to see it being anything more than average.
Yeah, it's it sucks because again, it's hard to watch it without comparing it to Mirai Nikki.
And then on top of that,
I
it's hard to watch it knowing that the Death Note creator made this. And there's
yes,
it feels like, you know, a lot of people will say Death Note is something that is probably like their gateway anime. So there's a lot of like nostalgia. There's a lot of love for that. And to go from like that to watching this, it almost feels like there isn't any connection really. And so I think there was this built-in nostalgia hype that has sort of just let this thing fall flat a little bit.
yeah, it's definitely like a name that's drawing you to it rather than the actual merit of the show.
Hmm.
I comparing it to Mirai Nikki, I don't know that it ends up better than Mirai Nikki. And I know that there's some mixed feelings on that as a whole as well, but it's very hard, I think, to do what Mirai Nikki did this long after it did it and look better.
Yeah.
They are actually super close to each other in scores on Mal, which is
fitting.
Interesting. Yeah, it's Mirai Nikki is 0.1 higher at the moment. So
it's actually crazy. I thought Mirai Nikki was higher up than that. So I guess it's the popularity aspect that makes it go higher.
Insanely popular, but it's not very good, which I'm fine with. I kind of agree with that.
Yeah. But it's definitely fitting that they're both up there. And I mean, again, I mentioned it at the start of us going through this, that I think this season is a little lackluster comparatively to the hype that we had it for. So that's why we could have these almost like stark opinions and, things that might not seem that great are still, anime of the season to us, just because, again, the season as a whole doesn't hold up as highly as we would have wanted to. So it does allow these like slips and these cracks and these things that we might not be as critical on in the past that would still lead it to anime of the season.
Yeah, it is a rough season, I think, trying to pick out the top dog. I really, really would not be surprised if by the end of this season I have Osama Ranking as my top show. Both that and Platinum End are 23 or 24 episodes, so we're not going to see the end of either of them by the time this season ends, but
by then it's going to bleed into an even bigger season, so it's going to be even harder to be as excited for some of these.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I hope Osama Ranking holds up. I think that could end up going right from completely off our radar to my sleeper pick right up to anime this season in just the 3 episodes we do here.
I'm excited for that though, because I mean, we rarely do we have as much fluctuation as we do, and it's nice to be able to get that fluctuation here as something that we weren't thinking was going to be a thing all of a sudden to just pop up there. I appreciate having that sort of diversity in our feelings, because it definitely shows how like an anime can develop into something bigger than we probably thought it was going to be.
Yeah, and it's really nice too to get it like right off the bat and see people reacting to this rather than Odd Taxi, where it was after the finale and everyone has to go back and be like, oh, I missed that. It's not too late on Osama Ranking. You can definitely jump on the bandwagon and
I mean, we're only like what, 6 episodes at most?
4 episodes.
Yeah, okay.
So get on that.
All right, you heard it. Watch Blue Period, watch Osama Ranking. That's your takeaways from this episode.
Yeah, I can't even really vouch that hard for Platinum Ends and Mugen Train. If you saw the movie, you don't need to see the show. So
it's also the other thing that you need to do is watch Trashman over here when he does his weekly Tesla note suffering.
Yeah, please watch my suffering so that like it matters. I really want to have more viewers than the number of users on Mal. Like, if more people can watch me watching Tesla Note than people watching Tesla Note, that'd be the goal.
That sounds like a good goal. All right, let's make it happen, viewers. Share it with a friend, like, subscribe, all that shitty YouTuber jazz that we all have to say because it actually works.
I refuse. I refuse to say it.
That's
I won't
why
do
I'm
it.
Here.
Good enough.
Yeah.
All right.
I think that's a good time to end it on for us here.
Yep, we're out. We'll see you in like
a month,
6
probably.
more weeks. Yeah, a month, and we'll talk about Blue Period and Osama Ranking some more because there's not really that much else to talk about. See ya.
All right, bye.